Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Turn of Events, where we help put a positive spin on the future of your business. Have you ever wondered or struggle with networking in your business? Like, how do I do it? I'm struggling. I know a lot of people do. We are going to learn some tips on how to do that with Beth Granger, who is a super awesome person. I'm Annette Naif, the creative director and CEO of Naif Productions. We are a strategic event production company based in New York City and also in Florida now these days. We specialize in corporate, social, nonprofit, and weddings. And I also coach wedding and event planners on how to start their own business. If you are already have your own business and you're struggling, or you're wondering, how do I get this business off the ground? Would love to help you. Join us over at my Facebook group, which is Event Planner Society. Great group of people, lots of content going in there. I'm going to be launching a program in a few months, how to get your business off the ground. I'm also speaking at TSC this in next week. I'm super excited, the special event. So if you guys are around, you got to come and check me out. I'm so excited to be on the stage there. So let's get started. Again, that's Event Planner Society. Go over to the Facebook group. You guys got to join in. It's super great. If you're only for wedding and event planners, all my vendors, I love you to pieces, but it's only for them. It's just to help them with their businesses. All right. So we are going to have, I'm super excited, Beth Granger, and we're going to talk about networking for business owners, how powerful conversations can change your business and life, which is so great. Beth is a trainer, consultant, and speaker who works with organizations and individuals who want to grow their business and brand by unleashing the power of LinkedIn. Her clients call her part friend, part consultant, part confidant, a sales enabler, and a LinkedIn oracle. Beth is also an exactly what to say certified guide, bringing her clients' magic words for influence and impact during critical conversations. She's excited to have beta tested the new LinkedIn audio event feature, which definitely want to hear about that. Let's welcome Beth Granger. How are you, my dear? Oh, you're muted.
The most commonly said phrase in the past 3 years.
Or can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Those are the two ones, right? So
Great
happy
to be
to have
here.
you. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's
Awesome. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your background, how you got into all of this, all that good stuff.
like the best things by accident,
Yeah.
actually. So to make a long story short, about 13 years ago, I got let go from a job that I had had for many years, and someone said to me, "Tell everyone you know you're looking for a job." My life insurance agent said, "Oh, you must come to my networking group." I said, "What's a networking group?" I didn't know. I mean, I worked in corporate.
Right.
This amazing group of people knew I was starting a business before I did. And it's just expanded my world, my business, my life, and ended up starting a business where I train people to use LinkedIn. And and I think of it as very similar to the same behavior you use when you're networking. So it
Yeah.
ties in really nicely.
Yeah, it's definitely important to network. I know networking has changed a lot. I built my business on networking 13 years in now, and live, I would go to every live event and I would go to every live networking group. New York, I was all over the place. And then COVID, and then it changed, and we do this whole virtual thing. But I think a lot of people are getting back, and it's a mixture now. But so yeah, it's all word of mouth, and you got to build relationships. And I tell that to all of my students who, I coach. But so, are there different types of networking?
Yes, many different types of networking. So when people hear networking, they may have a perception, preconceived notion based on their experience, but they might think of something like a group that meets regularly, maybe every week, or some people might think of it as going to the Chamber of Commerce. Some people might think of it as their behavior on LinkedIn. So they're all different types of things. There are those groups where you come together with the purpose of helping each other, and they tend to meet regularly. And then there's one-to-one networking, which is really just conversations that you have to get to know, like, and trust another person that can lead to wonderful things.
Right, right. So what is your networking philosophy?
So, do you have all day? No, my philosophy
I have an
really
hour. There you go.
my philosophy is really that to go in with genuine curiosity about another person, to go in thinking more about how you can help someone else than how you can be helped,
Mm-hmm.
and to not make any assumptions, because sometimes people meet someone and think, oh, they can't help me, or I can't help, like they just don't even know them yet, and they're already making an assumption about whether that's could be a good relationship.
Right, right. I think it's really just being your authentic self. I'm sure we're going to hit on all of this stuff. And I learned early on, it always kills me when I'm at a networking event because I think I've just, I've been doing it for so long. And there's always that person who's probably just started networking and they want to hand out their business cards to everybody. How many people can you follow up with? Number one, right? That's like so hard. I would have stacks of business cards. And I'm like, I can't even follow up with these people. And you just and then I have to enter them all into my, my connections, my Rolodex or whatever you call it at the time. Right. So, my database, and it's just a lot. So I learned, and I barely, and now I don't even carry business cards, which is kind of crazy. Since COVID, I forget to do that. But, I just learned that like, I just don't need to hand out. That's a really good point, is find out what you can do for them before because they're going to usually people are going to ask you, what do you do? And that's going to be you're going to end on what do you do? So if you're showing interest, first off, then it kind of ends with you. It's kind of a good thing, number one. But I just kind of just talk, hey, I do events. And then everyone around me usually talks about it more than I do. So I think it's just building relationships is really what it's all about. And it takes time, right?
Yes.
It really takes time. So is there a difference between networking in person and online?
For the most part, not really. And I think that's where people, people may be used to networking in person, and then especially during the pandemic, suddenly they're in a Zoom meeting, or they're trying to network on LinkedIn, and they don't know, is it the same? And
Right.
to me, if you're wondering how you should behave in a virtual meeting, or if you're wondering how you should behave on LinkedIn, imagine you were in a room full of people in person and think, would you say that thing? Would you do that thing in person? Because there are things that people say in virtual meetings or on LinkedIn that if someone said that to you in person, you just walk away from them. So,
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. The one thing that I do different is I don't get dolled up like I used to when I go, which is, listen, I'll put a little makeup on and I don't care now that my hair is up and it's not down like this. It's more important to me and everybody on the call has usually got their hair up and they got their glasses on and they might have makeup on or they might not, right? So I think we've gotten away from, it is your brand. So when I'm out, obviously in person, I am going to dress because that's who I am. I'm going to dress up. I'm going to put like I am right now, but except that I don't have dressy pants on, yoga pants on, which is kind of a blessing, and I love it. It's so much easier to do it online because I can get more appointments in, right? So that's the good thing, is it saves time. But yes, I think you need to show up like you would for any other, if it's live and all of that. So,
Yes.
I think that's really important. So how do you get to know, like, and trust someone and have them feel the same way about you? And I mean, this is like a huge thing, right?
And I think you said something about it before. You said that you can't rush it, or that it takes time.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. You're not going to, yes, you can meet somebody and you just automatically click, and it's as if you've known each other forever. But it takes time and frequency, repeated conversations with somebody. You're not going to have one conversation and feel like you know and trust a person well enough to make a referral right
Yeah.
away necessary. It takes
Right.
time. It takes, and so to me, that's the key thing, is taking the time to build that relationship, not rushing it. And there are ways to make little steps, right? So it might not be making a referral or asking for a referral. It might be inviting somebody to an event. It might
Yep.
be, right? So it's just little steps that make that relationship stronger and stronger.
Yeah. So, I found over the years, I can't have conversations with vendors, right? Photographers and caterers and videographers. And I'd be on the phone all day long with everybody. And I love them all so much. I can't do my job without them. And so they're really important. And I do, like once in a while, if it's a tech company that's doing something different, because technology changes every 5 seconds. So if it is something different, I like to get on with them and have a conversation just to kind of get to know what they're doing, so that if someone down the road says, I want to incorporate this in my business, I'm like, okay, I have a contact that I can, because, all my events, I bring in contractors. I can't do everything. Obviously, I'm not a videographer, and I got to know about it and know who the contacts are to bring them in. So it's good to have your, my situation might be a little different than others, but I think referring is very tricky. There's lots of networking groups where they're based on referrals, and I feel funny about that. So how do you handle that sort of situation where, you're kind of forced to refer people that you don't really know, and obviously you don't want to give a bad referral. So how do you handle something like that?
Well, that's not the kind of group that I join, first of all, because
Very
to
good.
me, that's very transactional. And you're not going to get good quality referrals from that, because it's somebody, if they have to make a referral. So
Correct.
the groups that I prefer to be part of are where everybody realizes that it takes time.
Mhm.
And they also realize that it's not necessarily going to be back and forth between the same two people. For instance, if I'm in a group, I might have a referral for you. You
Mhm.
might not have one for me, but you can
Mhm.
provide information to me. You can provide an introduction about something else to another referral partner, so that if people expect it to be back and forth directly, that's not the case. And when people think about supporting the whole group as a unit, then what happens is, rising tide raises all ships, and everybody gets helped, just not necessarily back and forth from each other.
Right. And I am in a group that I've been in for many, many years. And I've been referred many times from this group. And I have used many people in the group, whether it's marketing or websites, and referred a lot of people in the group. But there are a few that I have not, because I haven't come across someone that might need, an estate attorney or something like that. Right. So I haven't referred them, but I always say, if there's anything I can help you with, and I know a lot of people, I do refer a lot, please reach out. I have a big database I can refer. So I don't necessarily use them, but I'm showing that I'm always there to support them if I need to, right? Or if they need me for anything. So it is kind of a little trickier, but yeah, I think that's a good point. Is I've never felt good about being in a group where the goal is to, okay, you got to refer 3 people this month. I don't, it doesn't feel good.
That's not how
However,
it works.
yeah, it's not how it works. But if I needed somebody for something, and I knew we know each other, we've been in circles together, we're in a group together where we trust everybody, and always great referrals, and such an amazing group, which we love so much. And so I'm going to trust what they'd say. And I've gotten many referrals. I don't know a lot of the people because we haven't met in person a lot,
Right.
which we're trying to do that. But if they refer someone to, I'm going to do my own due diligence. I'm going to check these people out. And I've gotten so many great referrals from the group, from people I don't know, but it's a trusted group.
Right.
And then I do my own due diligence with checking to make sure that, okay, this is going to fit for me, because everybody's, needs are different.
Yeah.
So, and so many amazing things and it's so important to be in those. They're great for, motivation and support. We all need support in our businesses. It's a lonely place to be running your own business, right?
It
So
can be.
it can be. It's very, very hard. So, are there any things not to do when networking?
Oh,
I
yeah.
probably mentioned the one, but
Yeah. So I went once as a guest to it was a member cultivation event. So we're a group invited a lot of people in hopes that they might be interested, and it was very crowded. I didn't get to meet everybody, and we sat down. This was pre-COVID, and everybody passed their cards around. Well, the next day or the day after that, I got a call from not the financial planner, but the financial planner's assistant. And I hadn't even met the financial planner, wondering if I wanted to have a conversation about my finances. So you
Those
can't.
finance people, I love them, but they love to do that.
That it's a trust-based thing. So many businesses are all based on trust, and
Yes.
that doesn't work. And the whole thing, the image you portrayed of somebody like pushing their business card to somebody's face, it is that speed thing again, that you have to take any relationship slowly. You can't just assume that somebody's going to be able to help you or that you're going to be able to help them right away. Other things I think are assuming that if you give someone a referral, they're going to be able to give one back.
Right.
Assuming, here's another one, and this is interesting, assuming that somebody understands what you do and who you do it for.
Right.
You know, you have that conversation. Tell somebody what they might hear so they know to refer you.
Right. Right.
People don't always really know.
Yeah. I mean, just saying, I do events doesn't really tell people what I do. So I do elaborate on that. And that's a funny point is right when COVID hit. So of course, all the event industry shut down, as most people's businesses did, but events were major. And so I had to figure out what's the next step, and virtual was going to be the next step, right? So I just assumed, it's crazy because I teach marketing to all my clients, but when you're in it yourself, it's a whole different thing. So I just assumed everyone's kind of going to know that if I have an event, what am I going to do? So I already had a bunch of clients that I had to go to and say, okay, I had to now figure out what am I going to do with my business? And I needed to coach them, consult with them on how to take their live event and move it to a virtual platform.
Yeah.
I can't just assume that everybody knows that I'm going to go ahead and I'm a virtual planner now, right? So the funny thing is I saw someone marketing, I help these people, right? It was on a stories on Instagram. And I said, and he goes, these are because everybody was trying to help each other in their businesses, right? And so this guy posted, a friend of mine, he posted, if you need this person, I have them. If you need this person, I have this. And then I wrote a little note to him and I said, and event planners. And he goes, oh, are you still doing events? And it just dawned on me that I got to start telling people what I'm doing. So I started marketing virtual. I started speaking about it. I started marketing it, and boom, all of a sudden I had tons of virtual clients. And then I also reached out to all my clients and past clients saying, hey, I know you were looking to do a live event, people who didn't even hire us, but we're doing virtual and let me talk to you. I'll coach you, whatever you need. And 9 times out of 10, they all hired us because I met with my team and we figured out like, what's the next steps and how do I go from a live producer to a virtual producer? Because that's a whole nother world, right?
Yep.
So don't assume that they know. That's a really good point, that they know what you're doing. You really have to kind of be specific. Even if you're like said it a million times, you still need to make sure, because not everybody knows what exactly that is. I think that's good. And I had another point on there. Just being consistent, I think, is important too, right? Just being consistent.
I think that's with everything probably in life.
Yeah, it is, especially with your business, but just being out there as much as you can is for sure. How can you get started if you are shy or an introvert? This is like the $1 million question, right? Because you're gonna shy away from being from networking.
Yeah. So to me, it's if you're feeling uncomfortable in a situation, it's because you're thinking about yourself. If you make it about the other people, if you go in curious about the other people, eager to learn who they are, and even sometimes I go in with a specific goal to help someone I know. So instead of thinking about who I want to meet that will help me, who does my friend who does X, Y, and Z, who do they need to meet? And I make that my goal. So turning it around and making it about the other people and not yourself will make you more comfortable.
I think that's such a great advice. If anybody takes anything from this, I think that's it. And listen, I'm an extrovert. However, I get nervous if I'm going into a group of people, a crowd of people, and the attention. I don't like attention on me, and it makes me nervous, which a lot of people don't. But it might seem like because I have a big personality. But then once I'm started to, it opens a conversation if you're meeting somebody and you're like, so tell me what you do. And then they talk, and then it just kind of warms it up and makes it easier. I always feel sorry for people who are, have struggle with that. And I think, being online has helped a lot of people come out of their shell because they're comfortable in their environment, and now they're able to network. So I think, in one sense, I think it's actually been good, but I think people are getting, burnout on the whole thing, on the whole Zoom thing. I run my business on Zoom, and I have for years and years and years. So this wasn't a big change for me, but a lot of people, I get exhausted. I have to step away. So how can you support a networking partner even if you can't give them a direct referral? So I think we touched a little bit on that, but let's talk about that.
It's so funny. So I shared something with a networking group that I facilitate. And it was a list of things that you could do to support. And it included attending, if you're part of a group that meets regularly, attend the group, right? If you're not there, you can't be helping anybody.
Right.
Bringing a guest to the group that might be somebody that they would want to meet, because then you're introducing them to the whole group, not just to one person.
Right.
Have those one-to-one conversations, because that's where you really get to know someone. Introduce somebody to another referral partner, even someone that does what you do.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Nominate them for an award. Invite them to be on your podcast, LinkedIn Live, whatever,
right.
Email. Write them a testimonial or endorse them for something on LinkedIn.
Yep.
What else?
That's great. That's great.
Invite them to, if depending on what you do, invite them to be on a panel discussion or some kind of speaking gig.
Mm-hmm.
What else? There are just so many things. I mean, little things too. Send a thank you card. Send them a book that you just read that you liked. So give them information.
Right.
There are people, especially, we all have so much information, and sometimes somebody just has a simple question, and to you it feels like a little thing, but it can really help them.
Yeah. Or even just like you just triggered something with me, is just, send a little text and say, hey, I'm just checking on you. How you doing? And that might open up. Is there anybody I can refer to you right now? Is there something you're struggling with in your business? That's always a good thing to come with. Even if you don't have a specific referral, there's a lot of things in your business when you're running a business that you need help with,
Absolutely.
So those are the great tips. Really great. So how can powerful conversations change your business and life?
Yeah. So, I mean, conversations are everything, right? That's where people get to know each other. That's where people introduce each other. That's where everything starts with a conversation, and being comfortable, being curious, being comfortable sharing about yourself in return. It's just, that's where it begins. If you think about anything amazing that happened in your life, it probably started with a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So I know that you are a LinkedIn guru, and I have a huge LinkedIn account, and I don't do much with it. I shouldn't say that out loud, because I have, Instagram. I have my go-tos that I go to, and I dabble over there, and I post stuff on there, and I try to engage. It's so overwhelming because LinkedIn, since COVID, has ramped up so much. Like the number of emails that I get on LinkedIn has tripled or quadrupled at this point, and I can't keep up. So I'm, while I was getting ready here, I was like, okay, because I was thinking about you and what you do and all of that. And I was like, I felt guilty that I haven't been so active on LinkedIn. And I know I'm missing things. So I have to get someone. I'm hiring a lot of people in my business right now to help me with my marketing and things like that to ramp things up. Because what's the point of having it all there if I'm not doing it properly? So, and I can't manage it all, right? I have other things that I want to manage. So, but LinkedIn's one of them. So I want to talk a little bit about LinkedIn because I know that that's like a big thing of yours and you're awesome at it. So, is LinkedIn the only social media platform where you can network? I mean, we kind of know that, but let's talk about that first. And then I have some other things I want to ask.
No. So to me, in a way, any social media platform. I mean, think about Clubhouse when that came out during the pandemic.
My gosh. I was all over it.
It was an amazing place to meet people from all over the world.
Yep.
And then really anywhere, wherever you meet somebody first, whether it's social media or in person, you can take that somewhere else. So you can meet somebody on Clubhouse and bring it to LinkedIn. You can meet somebody on LinkedIn because of an amazing conversation you're part of and take that to a phone call. You can meet somebody in person and then connect with them on Instagram. So it's, to me, they're all networking opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. And, I was big on Clubhouse during COVID. I'm sure a lot of people were, because Clubhouse just ramped up then.
Yeah.
And I think it's great because you don't have to get dialed up. You can just get on and talk and all of that. I think it's great. It was one of the areas that I thought, I'm going to really kind of start building my Clubhouse. And, there's so many things you can do. You kind of have to pick your poison, as they say. But so with LinkedIn, though, great for corporate. I know, I do corporate events and I really need to kind of focus on that and get myself some networking there. But how do you use LinkedIn to network? That's what my struggle is, and not feel overwhelmed is another piece of that.
It can feel overwhelming, I think, because people get there and they don't know what to do. They just start reading the feed, or it's that, what do I do when I'm here? And so to me, there are a couple parts. The first part is how you can use it to help your referral partners. So if you have people that you're referring or they're referring you, you can be very specific with them. For instance, if somebody asks you for a referral to, who's somebody that you might refer? What role?
Yeah, so I might refer a photographer.
Okay, so if somebody says, if a photographer says to you, I like to meet marketing directors. I'm making it up. I have no idea who they want to meet. Marketing directors. That makes you think it's like, I don't know, suddenly your mind goes blank. But if you specifically look through your connections, or allow them to, and then you can make a specific, they could say to you, I see, Susan, John, and Andrea, can you make an introduction? That's more likely to happen. So using that search with people that you already know, like, and trust, so that the introductions can be much more targeted. That's one aspect, right? The search and the requesting introductions. And then there's and this is a subtle thing that I think a lot of people may not have thought of. People are having conversations on LinkedIn. When you share content, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, you should share content, but when you share content, you're attempting to start a conversation. Well, someone else's content is a conversation that's already started. You can join that conversation. So you can search for people talking about the things you want to talk about, and you can reply, and you can ask them a question. When you ask them a question, what are they going to do? They're going to write back an answer. So you've just now gotten into a conversation with somebody that didn't know you before. Right. So to me, those are the key areas.
Right. And groups, right? So I know what I do sometimes is I'm members of event groups, my industry. And there are people in there who go in, and there's lots of planners, right? They get in, they want to be part of the groups, and they want to see what's going on. So if somebody asks a question, this is on Facebook as well, but LinkedIn is good for this. But if you go in and you answer people's questions, or you create yourself as an expert, obviously, and people get to know and like and trust you, right? That's sort of back to that. That's a great place to get yourself noticed. And then it could lead into something like someone saying, oh, I don't know how to price myself. And I'm saying, well, join me over on my Facebook group. It kind of opens up that door. But you don't want to kind of spam things out like they don't like that. So, but if it's already in a conversation and you've been asked, it's kind of easier to do that. So, and it's another place to network if you want to find some networking opportunities.
Yeah.
So how do you keep up on, like I mentioned, these emails that I'm getting thousands of them and I can't even answer and I feel really bad about it. How do you keep up on that?
Well, first of all, you can change that. You can go into your settings and look at the different areas. It's very specific. You can go down to like, how can they email you? Can they notify you? And just take a look at that, because sometimes you're getting emails for things you don't care about.
A lot, because what will
Yeah.
happen is I accept them in, right? So they
Mhm.
ask to connect with me. And then I connect. And a lot of times I'll say, nice to connect with you. And then that just opens up a whole thing where they spam me with, do you have a financial advisor? And I try to be more specific, but honestly, I feel like everybody can refer somebody to me, but they're more concerned about immediately going into trying to sell me something or find out, I find that so much on LinkedIn.
It's really bad behavior. I don't know who is advising people to do this,
I
because somebody
know
must be.
somebody must be.
And it's like really bad cold calls. I mean, there could be a
Yeah.
good cold call, but it's I don't know why people do it. It must work a certain percent of the time, or else they wouldn't do it. I don't get it. I just yeah,
So what
no.
I started doing was I'll say, great to connect. If you're looking to plan an event or blah, 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 I have a little spiel that I say, feel free to reach back. I can't answer so the problem is I connect with them. Then I get an email that we're connected. And then I get another email from them and the conversation never stops. So that means I get more emails. So I'm just kind of overwhelmed with all the emails. And then I tend to not go in, because I do screen, like I'll scroll through and see if it's something that somebody's like honestly saying, hey, I see you're speaking, because it's stuff that I'm posting, or they'll comment about what I'm posting. Like, I see you're speaking this week and I'm going to be there. Let's connect. So, but I don't want to miss those. Right. So those are the things I don't want to miss. So I'm going to go check out my settings. That's a good
Yeah.
a good thing.
And the other thing is, you might want to think about a different philosophy for who you will accept as a connection.
Yeah.
So I have a 3-step process.
Okay.
Obviously, there's some that it's an immediate yes. Maybe I met them at an event, or they saw me speak, or whatever it was. So that's a yes.
Right.
There are some that are an immediate no, and that's a gut thing. That's just sometimes it just doesn't feel right. They don't seem like a
or they
real
don't
person.
have a picture, or
Right.
Yeah.
And then there are the in-between ones. And that's where, unfortunately, this is a little bit of a do as I say, not as I do. I kind of leave them there and occasionally look at them.
Yeah.
But the goal is to review them and to decide, do I think this is somebody that I might want to connect with? If I'm not sure and I think maybe, there are 2 ways I can go. I can connect and then see what happens, or I can reply back first and say, the wording I tend to use is, I like to have a really strong network. I'm really curious how you found me and what made you interested in connecting. And that has started some amazing conversations. And yes, I've connected. If they don't write back, then I don't connect, because then they're probably using automation, or they're just trying to sell me something.
Right. Right. So tell me, what is your expertise on LinkedIn, so others can, know what you do? I want to know, because we didn't really get into that, but I want to know what's your expertise and how you can help people.
So it's really using it as a networking, marketing, sales, everything it can do tool to share your expertise with the world, to network with people. And I work with both organizations and individuals. And sometimes it's as simple as helping them refresh their profile or their company page. Other times it's really digging into the behavior and almost being like a personal trainer at the gym, but for their LinkedIn behavior.
Right. Right. So is there like yourself, are there people like, would you go in and help manage like the emails and all of that? Is there people that, I think there's people that do that, but I'm always nervous about giving people my account and going in, because obviously it's my voice and they really need to know me. So I'd have to really trust them that they're going to,
And you should be nervous
and they're
about
going to
that.
know who to talk to and who not to. So I'm always hesitant about that. But what's your advice on that?
Yeah. So technically, it's funny because I actually have read the terms of service for LinkedIn. A million other platforms that I'm on, no, but of course I've read LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to allow somebody else to log in as you. Do people
Yeah.
do it? Of course it happens.
Yes.
But but there are ways that people on your team can help you. They can help develop content for you and share it through a third-party tool, because those are allowed, like Buffer or Hootsuite or whatever.
Right.
They can, going in as themselves, do some research for you. But I would be nervous about allowing somebody to log in as you.
Yeah, that's pretty tricky. So when I introduced you, which you brought me back to this, you said that you beta tested the new LinkedIn audio event feature. What is that?
So that's like Clubhouse, but on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Yes. So just like you can have this LinkedIn Live event, you can set up an event that's audio only on LinkedIn. Only people who have access to host one can do that, but anyone can join. They're public. Any LinkedIn audio event is public. And they're just amazing conversations, just like we're happening over on Clubhouse. But because it's on LinkedIn, you can actually, it's a great way to network because you can see who else is in the room or whatever you want to call it, the conversation. You can connect with them. If somebody comes up and says something you like, you can connect with them and say, oh, I really like what you said in that audio event.
So is it live or can it be? So I'm thinking is like, so you do it, you get it, it records, right?
It does not record. That's one thing that I wish it did. You're allowed to record it. I have never found a tool that does it easily. Like I did one once and I tried to record it using QuickTime, but it doesn't record the way what we're doing today does.
So it's kind of like a stories sort of thing where it doesn't record. Does it stay on your platform?
No.
It doesn't. So you get on, it's like you and I talking now, gets on, and then it disappears once we're done.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Correct. So it's not like I can take like a podcast, like the audio piece of a podcast and put it on that. It's not like that.
You'd have to use some kind of third-party tool to record it.
So it's just kind of a networking sort of platform, really. Okay.
There's some amazing conversations that I've both hosted and been part of, and I like it. I think it has potential. I do wish it would record automatically, but
that would be kind of, but I'm sure at some point they'll do it. They're just going to test it out, I'm sure. Well, thank you so much. So much great information. I could talk about this forever because, I'm all into the whole social media thing, and LinkedIn is kind of one of my on the back burner, but it's there. I check it. I'm in it. I'm trying to figure out what's the next steps, but I'm on there a lot. I try to keep the profiles up. I try to, do a lot of, I have someone who helps me post it and we schedule and do a lot of, and I'm building content now in my business. So that's going to be put over there. And so I'm dabbling. I'm just those, I think what I need to do is delete all the emails, because I'm the kind of girl that I'm that person that I don't want to see any numbers, right? So I have no emails in my inbox. My text messages have all been looked at. The numbers make me crazy. So that's what's hurting me is I'm seeing all these numbers of all these emails that I have to go through. And so I think if I just delete them all out and start from scratch, it's probably good. Kind of then I can keep track of them. So, but thank you so much, Beth. It's been awesome. So tell me, do you have something you can offer everybody?
Yeah, actually I have, we were talking about that behavior you didn't like, where the connect and pitch, where people, so I actually did a webinar a while back. I do want to redo it and update it, but called 9 LinkedIn landmines. So behaviors not to do on LinkedIn that can ruin your reputation or just
that's great,
don't work. And people can watch the replay of that
Yeah.
And
And so that's bethgranger.live/9 landmines. We put it in the chat here for you guys to grab. Thank you so much for that. And so how else can everyone find you? Obviously on LinkedIn.
on
It better be
LinkedIn, but of course.
Yeah, yeah. Are you anywhere else?
Oh yeah. I'm on Instagram, and I have a Twitter account. That used to be my
Yeah.
platform of choice years ago, not
Yes.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of all over on social media
Okay.
for myself, but LinkedIn is where I am most active.
And you have a website?
I do, bethgranger.com.
Easy, easy. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Always love talking to you. Great information. You guys reach out to Beth if you need help with your networking on LinkedIn, especially. It's a really important tool, especially if you're trying to get corporate clients. It's a great tool, and there's so much activity over there. It has literally boomed since COVID. So get over there and get some networking going over there. Thank you, Beth. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
See you guys. I'm not going to, oh, yes, I am. I think I am here next week. Yeah. So I'll see you next week. We'll talk about more great stuff for your business. All right. And if you're an event and wedding planner, get on over to the Event Planner Society. Would love to see you there. Lots of great stuff going on. Thank you guys. Have a fantastic day. Bye.